Does creatine cause hair loss? And does it damage your kidneys? Today we're going to talk about just that and other creatine assumptions. But first off, what is creatine? Creatine is a commonly used supplement by athletes for improved muscle performance. But creatine is much more than that. Creatine is the most researched supplement on the market and has numerous benefits on top of the muscle benefits. Creatine benefits nearly every organ in your body, and it is specifically great for your brain, helping with brain fog, poor concentration, and mental fatigue. So if it's the most researched supplement on the market with numerous benefits, does it also have its downsides? Let's find out. Assumption 1. Creatine is useless if you don't drink enough water. False. Creatine works regardless of your water intake. Gym bros specifically will say that creatine is bad if you don't drink enough water, and while that is mostly false, part of it is true. Creatine isn't bad if you don't drink enough water, but for people specifically seeking muscle benefits, it won't work as optimally without enough water, and drinking more will make your muscles appear bigger. But not drinking enough water while taking creatine isn't going to hurt your body in any way, and if this is your main worry, you're probably just dehydrated in general, so yes, drink more water just for your overall health. Assumption 2. Creatine is a steroid. Creatine is absolutely not a steroid, and if you're a kid looking to start taking creatine and your parents won't let you, show them this. Creatine is simply a supplement meant to boost not only muscle performance, but performance of nearly every organ in your body. Creatine also happens to be completely natural. It's naturally occurring in meat and fish, as creatine is stored mainly in muscle cells. The thing about this is that the amount of creatine that is needed to see noticeable differences is about 5 grams, the average serving size of any creatine supplement. And the amount of creatine you're going to get from fish and meat is not enough to reach that amount, or even close. So supplementing with creatine is absolutely safe, and it's not a steroid. Assumption 3. Children should not take creatine. False. Creatine is a safe supplement in general, and it's not only completely safe for children and adolescents, but it's potentially beneficial. Creatine given to adolescents with certain brain injuries from something like concussion showed improvements in these injuries and faster recovery. This shows creatine may actually be beneficial for kids growing up playing sports. But creatine is safe regardless of if the child is playing sports and could be considered as a supplement worth taking, just as any adult would. Assumption 4. You must undergo a loading phase when beginning supplementation of creatine. False. And for those not familiar with a loading phase, let me explain. Supplementing with creatine will saturate your muscles during supplementation, and people believe taking, for example, 20 grams of creatine a day will result in faster saturation than 5 grams a day. While this is true, you're going to get the same result regardless, and taking 20 grams of creatine at a time may reduce efficiency. Taking 5 grams is just as effective, and a loading phase is essentially useless. On top of that, it's kind of just a waste of creatine. So skip out on the loading phase and take 5 grams a day when starting, and continue this for however long you supplement. Assumption 5. Missing a day of creatine supplementation will reset your progress to day 1. Completely false. Missing a day of creatine will essentially do nothing. If you stop taking creatine for prolonged periods of time, it will decrease, but at a slow rate, and it is a mostly linear decrease, decreasing much slower than the increase of when you were taking it. So if you miss a day, don't worry about your progress, it's fine. Assumption 6. Creatine causes kidney damage. False. Creatine does not cause kidney damage, and there are plenty of research articles about this. There's no association of the supplementation of creatine and kidney damage, and water intake doesn't affect this either. So don't worry, your kidneys will be fine. And like I said earlier, creatine is shown to benefit most organs, and while no studies show potential benefits on your kidneys, it absolutely could help. Assumption 7. Creatine causes acne. False. Creatine does not cause acne, and a common misconception with this is that creatine will draw water into the muscles, essentially stealing water from your other bodily functions, dehydrating you. This is a completely false claim, and creatine does not make you dehydrated. If you're dehydrated, you are just not drinking enough water in general, and it is not the creatine at fault. On top of that, creatine has studies done showing it actually benefits skin health. Creatine has been shown to reduce hyperpigmentation, hydrate the skin, and protect your skin from sun damage. So it is exactly the opposite, and if you do have acne, supplementing with creatine may actually benefit you. Assumption 8. Creatine causes hair loss and baldness. False again. This stems from a certain study that showed an association between supplementing with creatine and an increase in DHT. DHT is a metabolite of testosterone, and increased testosterone can cause hair loss. There have been many studies done after this first one, and they show that creatine supplementation does not have an effect on DHT levels, total testosterone, or free testosterone. So creatine absolutely does not cause hair loss, and if you aren't taking it because you're worried about this, consider this your wake-up call to start taking it. Assumption 9. Creatine causes an upset stomach. False. Sort of. Creatine does not cause an upset stomach if taken correctly. If creatine is taken in a dose of 10 grams or more, it may cause some issues for your stomach, but if you take the recommended 5 grams per day, you should be totally fine. One study showed with 10 grams of supplementation, there was an increase of stomach issues by 37%, but with 5 grams, no issues were reported. Assumption 10. You need to take creatine before or after your workout to benefit from it. False. The time you take creatine has almost no effect on the benefits you reap, and as long as you're taking it daily, you'll experience the benefits. I say almost no effect, as one study showed taking 2.5 grams before a workout and 2.5 grams after showed slightly increased muscle performance over time, but the difference was very small and it's probably not worth the hassle. If you want to be extremely optimal though, then go for it. And that is all the most common creatine myths. Overall, creatine is an extremely safe supplement and it's the most researched supplement on the market. Almost everybody can benefit from it, so consider taking it if you aren't already. Thanks for watching everyone, and I hope this helped.